Hey, good morning, Metropolis. It's now 5 after the hour of 6 a.m. in the big monster city.
Come on! Let's get pumped!
I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot! What can I say? The camera loves me.
Shall we begin? After you, Junior.
Hello, everybody! Welcome! It's episode number 1 of Logged It, the brand new show here on Multiplex Entertainment. We're here to talk about movies because, you know, that's like what we do around here a lot most of the time, unless you want to talk about like miscellaneous stuff or TV stuff or debate stuff or whatever. Movies! Mostly movies. We're here. We got a full panel this evening. I'm really excited. Cody, welcome. You are here. How are you doing this evening, sir? Are you excited about Logged It?
I'm excited. Like when I first approached him about the idea, I think that this was the one thing missing in our community because the one thing centered around it is letterbox. And it'd be nice to yell at each other about stuff and, well, not really, just discuss like and get different takes on movies. Like we get to read people's reviews, but we never get the real reaction of people. So it's kind of interesting how the show will work, and I'm excited to be here for episode 1.
Absolutely. Kaleb Koho, you are here. You're wearing a white shirt. How are you?
I'm feeling good, like I should. And I took a walk around the neighborhood. It's the wrong show. But very excited to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. I have no, idea how well I'm going to do as a guest on the show, but I'm going to do my best. That's fair. Also here, Titanic #1 fan, Brian Michaels. Brian, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I was not expecting to be here on the first episode of Logged It. I know you're going to have like your multiplex admins mostly, but hey, you needed a spot. I'm happy to fill in on short notice. So here I am.
Absolutely. And
you're an alumni. It counts.
Yes, that's true. Also here, Thomas Scully, who could possibly be the biggest movie anti-hero fan that I know. Thomas Scully, how are you?
I am doing just great. I'm happy to fill in for that baby back bitch Kaleb Boatman, who is currently driving through the American South. Or I guess he's not driving. He's still in Nashville. So, yes.
Oh, yeah, that co-host. Why isn't he here? Yeah.
I'm excited. I have had some very heated interactions with people on Letterboxd today, in fact, actually. It's a part of my everyday life now. I currently have a timer set to see how long it takes a certain person from Canada to get mad at my latest review. So
yeah,
just block him.
I saw that, and I'm interested to know what that was all about.
We'll see how it goes.
So basically, guys, like Cody alluded to, we're gonna talk about mostly like Letterboxd stuff. Try to bring Letterboxd into the game, but not the game, but the show. But also talk about movies and everything. That's kind of the gist. We're just talking about movies, but using Letterboxd kind of as the what's the word? The pin, like for everything. The linchpin, is that how you say it? I don't know. I'm a terrible host. Okay, let's get into the first thing. The way we're going to start off the show every week is we're going to ask the panel a few questions that just kind of as icebreakers. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what is our favorite movie that we logged this week? Any movie. It doesn't have to be the best movie we logged this week, but just the favorite. I will start off. I'm going to go with my favorite right now that I logged this week. I think is going to be Raya and the Last Dragon. Just came out on Blu-ray. I really like that movie. Me and Cody were arguing about it the other day, but I think it's really, really great. I think it's top tier Disney. Animation's great. Characters are great. Koho, fuck off. And I think it's fantastic. I love it. So that's my pick. Any thoughts on Raya and the Last Dragon from anybody here?
I thought it was totally okay. I don't know. It was fine. It's generic.
If you were arguing with Cody about it, then you were right and Cody's wrong because Raya is a great movie. I loved Raya and the Last Dragon. I mean, the animation is some of the best I've ever seen on screen, and the story as well. I just really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought it was going to.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm doing currently a Disney binge that will end with that.
No, I don't hate the movie. I didn't say anything bad about it. I don't think it's. I think what we get into a habit of when the new animation comes out, we get really amped and really hyped, and we put it up in the top echelon, and then on rewatches, it falls back to its spot that it's supposed to be. I just think Aquafina's voice is really annoying, and she's in it a lot.
I will say she is my least favorite part of the entire movie.
It's very draining. That's the only part of the movie that I think the animation, I think the styles, I think the side characters, I could stay in that world for a really long time. I just think her voice is very draining, and I really liked her in The Farewell. So it's kind of like they could have picked somebody else maybe. I don't know.
I will agree with that.
All right, Cody, what was your favorite movie you logged this week?
Sorry, my son. I would say my favorite one. I'm gonna say The Night of the Hunter. So my favorite, like this. So the first time watched it. Are we doing first time, or you want to actually like rewatch?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Raya was the fourth time for me. So.
Okay, yeah. So like I'm gonna pick like a movie that I just saw for the first time was Night of the Hunter. It was something I was really surprised by. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. It's Charles Lawton's only movie he ever directed. I think it's very creepy. I think it's very like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's very short. It's 90 minutes long, but like the tension is so packed throughout this entire movie about this guy, about trying to find this money that before he went to jail, he hid away and didn't tell anybody, and everybody's trying to find. This guy's trying to find it. And the kid acting is really strong in it. It's a real quick watch. I would suggest it for anybody. It's a lot of fun. I can't wait to rewatch it.
I haven't seen it, but spoiler alert for a question later, this movie might come up again. So, Koho, what about you?
I've not seen it. I've been meaning to. I really like Charles Lawton in Witness for the Prosecution, and I hear that his direction of this movie is great, so I will be checking it out.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, I have seen it, but it's been so long I barely remember it. But I remember liking it.
Yeah, all I know about this movie is that Cody thinks one of the people in there looks like his grandfather. And then looking at the picture of the dude,
that's the private life of Henry VIII. That's my grandfather, but the same guy directed it, so that's
well,
it's very creepy.
All right, Koho, let's move over to you. Favorite movie you logged this week?
It's really tough between the two, but I'm gonna go with Rounders. I think Rounders is dope as hell. I love that like 90s like unofficial subgenre of Matt Damon plays wicked smart guy who's really good at this thing, and it's just really fun to watch. It's like the third one from the late 90s that I've seen him in where he's playing that character, and he does it really well. Just this time it's poker. Edward Norton is kind of quickly becoming one of my favorite actors to watch. He's really good in every role he plays, especially in this. You just want to punch him in the face so bad. He's just like the fucking like worst friend, but he's so charismatic also. So you're listening to him and you're like, I can see what he's saying. It's a good idea. And you're like, wait, no, this is not a full idea. Why are we doing this? And I never knew the pay the man his money was from this. So when Malkovich comes out and just pay the man his money, I was like, oh shit. I did the Leo meme. But this movie's really fun. So thank you, Cody.
I've seen bits and pieces of this, but I've actually never seen it all the way through. But it sounds like something that I would fucking love. So I'll probably check it out.
Haven't seen it.
Rounders is in my top 100. He watched it for the top 100 special. The movie's fantastic through and through. And if you ever want to know why people in Hollywood want to punch Edward Norton, it's pretty much you can just take his personality in this movie, and he's probably like that in real life. So I absolutely love this movie. It's a thrill ride. It's a very underrated, and John Malkovich is amazing in it.
Brian.
Oh, again, it's another one that I've seen, but it's been a long time, so I don't remember enough about it to talk about it.
That's fair. Brian, what about you? Favorite movie you logged this week?
The favorite one I watched this week was probably a rewatch of 1993's Heart and Souls. This is a movie that like not a lot of people have seen because it's never been put out on digital. So unless you like track down the disc or catch it on like cable or something, you haven't seen it. It's a Robert Downey Jr. comedy from the 90s. Basically, these four people, Charles Grodin, which is the reason I watched it this week. Charles Grodin, Tom Sizemore, Alfred Woodard, and Kira Sedgwick are like these four people who die in a bus crash, and their souls get attached to this baby that's being born nearby. And then, 30 years later, when, grows up to Robert Downey Jr., they find out they're supposed to have used him and his body and stuff to complete the one thing in life they never got to do before they can pass on to heaven or whatever. So of course they start taking over his life. Wackiness ensues. They help make his life better. Blah blah blah. But it's a really good comedy. It's a good Robert Downey Jr. kind of before his breakdown and then resurgence back in the Iron Man days. Yeah. But he's a great job. Charles Grodin, it's like I said, he's the reason I watched it this week. He's great in it. Elizabeth Shue, I always like watching her. She plays like the love interest of Robert Downey Jr. It's a fun movie, and hopefully one of these days it'll hit digital so more people can see it.
Yeah, I had never even heard of it, but I mean that sounds fun. I mean, like it sounds like a wacky like 90s comedy that I would probably enjoy. Has anybody else seen this, or is Brian? But this seems like a Brian entry that he would have seen. But it's a good recommendation. Cody, you're muted.
Oh, everybody drink.
It's on Stars right now. So
okay,
I
good.
will.
Good.
Yeah, so I might check it out. Sounds interesting.
Awesome. Okay, Scully, what about you?
So I have watched nothing but Disney animation for the last week. So this makes it much easier. Favorite movie I watched this week was Aladdin. I mean, I absolutely love this movie.
That's the live action one, right?
Yes, Brian, the live action. Absolutely.
Is this a new film?
Well, absolutely love everything about this movie. Robin Williams' Genie is like one of the, if not the greatest, like supporting character in a animated movie of all time. I mean, the comedy is just on point. There's a lot of hearts from a lot of the other characters. Iago, when I first saw it, I thought Iago was super annoying, but I think over time, I've kind of seen him more as I think Kaleb Boatman, because I just associate those two so closely together, and it's like a perfect match. You really think about it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's it's in my top, I don't know, probably 25 of all time. One of my favorite animated films. So yeah.
Is it your favorite Disney animated?
Yes, just barely beats out Beauty and the Beast.
Fabulous, Harry. Love the feathers. Yeah, no, this movie's great. I actually also watched this last week, I think. It's so good. It's my number 2 on Disney animated. And it's great. Like, I mean, what can we say about Robin Williams that hasn't been said already? But like, put the man in front of a microphone and animate around him, because like he just does so much. I think it was I think your review that I saw on Letterboxd, Scully, had said something about the Jack Nicholson quote with
all right, Sparky, here's the deal. If you want to get the little lady, you gotta be a straight shooter.
It's so good. It's so good. And honestly, the music holds up. Like Prince Ali is fucking awesome. Like, it's so much fun. I think might be my I just love quoting that line. The fabulous Harry. I love the feathers. It's just like
just to lower Cody's blood pressure a bit. Lion King is my 3.
Same. Cody, what about you? Aladdin.
Me and Brian kind of talked about this last week. I think on Top 100. I just love the movie. I think Robin Williams is probably one of the best comedic actors of all time, and for them to be able to do it and let him pretty much have free reign inside a Disney movie was perfect. Like, through the impressions of all the celebrities he does. Yeah, so it's a top 3 Disney for sure.
Koho?
My personal favorite impression he does is the I can't believe it, I'm losing to a rug. It's so good. I love him in that movie. He's great. All the impressions are great. It's my second favorite Disney movie. It's fantastic.
Yeah, like Cody said, we already kind of talked about this a lot on Top 100, but it's one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. And again, it's Robin Williams is so perfectly cast for the Genie, because it's really kind of the only kind of character that can fully contain all of his wild kind of comedy that's kind of all over the place and constantly changing. The only negative part of the movie was that this kind of ushered in the age of all voices have to be celebrity voices in animation, but in this case it worked perfectly.
The other line I really like is the after Genie realizes that he didn't use the first wish, and he's like, well, now I feel sheepish.
Bad boy, no more freebies.
Oh, yeah, all right, bad boy. It's so good. All right, we're gonna move on to question number 2 here. I'm interested to hear about this. What is your least favorite movie you logged this week? I'll start keeping it on the Disney train. Calm down, Boatman, when I say this, but my least favorite movie I watched this week was Alice in Wonderland. And no, I'm not talking about the animated one. That's bad too. But I'm talking about Tim Burton's fucking CGI bullshit movie that, sorry, Koho, that I didn't realize that you kind of actually liked and gave a good score to. This movie's terrible. I also watched the sequel, Through the Looking Glass, which is even worse, but I already expected it to be terrible, so I don't give a fuck. This was awful. There's so much star power and talent behind the camera, and the movie just falls apart. It's awful. Just a terrible movie. Cody, Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton, what do you think?
Tim Burton and Throw It on Alice in Wonderland is a movie I've never seen. I think I've seen the animated, and I think the animated is trash. And I think Tim Burton is arguably one of the worst directors for my style of movies. I don't like his style. I don't think anything, even the movies people love from him, I think are mediocre to bad. So I was not going to watch the live action with Johnny Depp version when I hated the animated, and the animated shorter. So no, thank you. Cole gave it 3 stars, so can we all kill him now? Because that's wrong.
Jesus. I hadn't seen this since, I was, 13, 14. So, I didn't really remember it. I don't think I'd seen the animated before it, but I really loved the animated movie. And then watching this and picking up on all the references as, this continuing the animated movie, I kind of enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I don't think it's a great movie by any means. I give it 3 stars because I think it does a good job of connecting to the original movie, and I enjoyed some of those references and tie-ins. I don't hate Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter in this movie. I think he's fine. But I don't think it's great. I think Tim Burton has not made a good movie in many, many years. And this is not one that I would call a really good movie for me either.
I agree with that.
I don't hate it.
All right, Brian.
I do hate it. I thought I remembered liking the animated one, but I went back and watched that one several years ago and realized that's not even very good. And then when this one came out, I had no interest. It just looked ugly. It looked, nothing about it appealed to me. I just finally watched it for the first time earlier this year, a couple months ago. And it is every bit as bad as I thought it was going to be. And the story is boring as hell, and it looks ugly. Plus, it's one of those movies that was right at the height of 3D, where they decided they want to make everything come out with the camera at you, and it's obnoxious. So yeah, I did not enjoy this at all.
It made $1 billion, guys.
A lot of people followed Hitler too.
You're
Doesn't make him right.
muted, Cody. $1 billion.
There's 9,000 people on Letterboxd that have it at 5 stars.
Well, they should all not have Letterboxd.
I think all 9,000. I think all 9,000 of those people should be suspended from Letterboxd.
I would like to take their GPS and lead them to the nearest cliff, please.
Scully, this movie. What do you think?
Tim Burton should not be allowed in the area of any existing franchise, because he will kill any franchise he touches. He basically ruined Batman with Batman Returns. That movie is bad. And then with Alice in Wonderland, he takes an animated movie that I can tolerate. I don't love it. I think the stuff with the Red Queen saves it in the last 20 minutes for the animated one. This one is just it's bad. It's so bad. We just include so much unnecessary, just crap in there that just makes it even more long and more boring and just more confusing and frustrating. The main reason I don't enjoy the original Alice in Wonderland is how frustrating the plot is. And I get it. I get that that's the point. All you defenders who rag on us for not liking the movie, I get that it's supposed to irritate you, but I don't like to be irritated. That's not something normal people enjoy. So when you make it 40 minutes longer and you add more unnecessary bullshit to it, you're in for just, oh God. I mean, and the fact that what's worse is that it was Tim Burton, a guy who will just put in so much of his own crap in there and just make it all muddled and make even less sense than it did. So I'm not a fan. It's literally my next movie I have to watch in my Disney live action watch. So I'm going to watch it again, I think, in the next week or so, probably. So we'll see if my opinion changes. Probably not, but Who knows?
Good luck.
I
Cody,
don't
you're
think he
next.
likes it. Oh, my least favorite movie I logged this week. Okay, we're gonna stay in fandom. So I have children.
Oh,
and,
I know where this is going.
I let my kids pick movies because normally I've seen them.
You're
my
gonna piss off
5-year-old
Koho again, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Koho's completely incorrect. I let my kid pick movies. He just watched Kong versus Godzilla, so I was like, maybe we'll do the superhero, like adult superhero kind of movies. He picked Amazing Spider-Man 2. This movie is absolutely an abomination. Like halfway through, he turned to me and said, "This isn't very good." And then he said, "I'm gonna go play. Call me when Spider-Man shows back." I said,
He has to wait a while.
He's gone for a while.
We got to deal with the planes.
This movie is just hot ass garbage. Like none of it makes any sense. I love the always defenders of this movie where they're like the chemistry between Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield. They were in a relationship. No wonder they had chemistry. You flipping idiots. That's fine that they had chemistry. It wasn't from the script, and it wasn't from their acting. When you like something, it is just so like Jamie Foxx is giving one of the worst performances of his entire career in this movie, and he did Annie. I think the same year.
Yeah.
And I would take Annie over this performance. Paul Giamatti is wasted throughout this movie. Who's Norman Osborn?
Chris Cooper.
Chris Cooper. The star power they have in this film, and they just piss all over it. And Sony knew they didn't have another movie because they weren't going to do anything with it. So they just we're going to throw it all in one movie and see what happens. It's so bad. It is one of the worst comic book movies ever made. And the stuff, like the CGI and the stuff that they are actually able to do sometimes with Spider-Man is cool throughout it, but you're half asleep or you're ready to just turn it off and go do something else while it's happening. It's so bad. And if anybody ever put this in their top 100 of all films of all time, you should literally get your GPS to lead you to the nearest cliff because it's terrible.
Yeah, so I don't like this movie very much. Spider-Man's my favorite comic book character. But man, yeah, this one's I will say it, I know I'm in the minority on this, but I like this one more than Spider-Man 3. I think Spider-Man 3 is worse. And literally the only reason is I actually really enjoy the clock tower fight at the end of the movie. I think is really well done. Sure. There's some scenes, like Cody said, with swinging around and stuff that this movie got a lot of the New York swinging stuff right. But that being said, it's also filled with stupid plot lines of the parents and Gwen is going to England and Jack the Ripper, there's crime in England. Yeah, now she's not because she's like an egg. It's just it's a frustrating movie because there's seeds in there that are really interesting. But they just have no idea what they're doing, and it's bad. It's not
the
good.
The ending where the making an omelet. Basically, that scene happened in the theater. I remember, and everybody gasped in the theater, and I'm the one in the back. Oh, come on! They didn't even earn this. She needed to leave this movie just like everybody else should have. She got out. No, terrible. She got to leave before. Yeah.
Koho, we'll go to you last. Let's all shit on this for a while. Yeah, actually, I feel like this might be a movie that Brian likes, so let's go to Brian next.
Yeah, I don't hate this movie. I will honestly take this one over any of the Raimi movies. I hate all three Raimi Spider-Mans. The second one is actually decent, I guess. The first one and the third one are awful. So I will take both Amazing Spider-Mans over all three Raimi Spider-Mans. Does it have its flaws? Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a perfect movie, but I enjoy it quite a bit. And yeah, choke on that.
All right, Scully, you're
I'm
next.
so happy we got Brian on the show this week.
So here's the thing. Like with the animated Alice in Wonderland, I can tolerate this movie because Spider-Man is one of my favorite superheroes, and I think they get a lot of things with the character of Spider-Man. I think they do some really good stuff with the character of Spider-Man. I do like Garfield as the character of Spider-Man. Again, the chemistry between Garfield and Stone is really, really good. It keeps the movie going through some of those slower parts. The issue is that this movie is all set up for future Sony movies down the pipeline, because we get so many Easter eggs, so much hints towards what's next, but there's no time spent on the actual plot of this movie. We're introduced to like 4 of the 6 members of a potential Sinister Six, but we get like no payoff for any of them. It makes absolutely zero sense. Paul Giamatti as the Rhino is totally wasted when you could have had him as the Doc Ock of that universe, and it would have been absolutely perfect. I think Dane DeHaan is good. I like Dane DeHaan actually, but Dane DeHaan Goblin should not have been in this movie. The movie should have ended. Electro should have been the big bad. And with Electro, I don't hate Jamie Foxx's performance. I think he was given a bad script more than anything. So if he ends up being in the MCU as Electro, I'll give him a chance, because I legitimately
I'm Electro.
I legitimately think he was handed a bad script, and that is the primary reason why he is.
You still have to
terrible.
read the lines.
I know you have to read the lines. I'm saying that the script actually affects how you are in the movie. So I don't. It's not the worst Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man 3 is definitely worse. I tolerate parts of it, but they're just the plot itself it's just a mess. They fall into the trap all over again of having way too many villains, way too many plot lines going, and it kills their entire franchise.
All right, Koho, now you can talk, because this
man.
is like a 4-star movie for you, right?
I don't know, man. I kind of like it. I can't defend why I like it at this point. It's not a good movie. I really like it though. I like watching it. I just enjoy the runtime of this movie, being in this movie with these characters in this story. I can't explain why. Honestly, it's just kind of a guilty pleasure that I enjoy watching. I don't think Jamie Foxx is bad. I think he's fine. I think Dane DeHaan is really good until he becomes the Goblin. I think he's actually way better than James Franco. I think this is a significantly better movie than Spider-Man 3. I think Spider-Man 3 is atrocious. I think this is just a not well done movie, but I think it's still a fine movie. I think Emma Stone is fantastic in it. I think Andrew Garfield's fantastic in it. I just think that this movie is too busy and has too much going on. But every time I watch it, I kind of just pick a plot thread, follow it, and I have more fun with it. But no. I literally, it's in my Letterboxd bio. I don't know, man, is my universal prelude to a hot take. Yes, this was my 100 in my original top 100 because I was like, fuck it. Put on the top 100 at 100 and start things off with controversy, and also because I watched this movie a lot, so figured why not. But yeah, I don't know, man. I like it.
All right, Koho. Well, you get to go next. Your least favorite movie you logged this week.
I had the benefit of watching a lot of good movies this week, so this is like still a 3-star movie that I liked. But 127 Hours is probably my least favorite movie I logged this week. It's not a bad movie. It's just I think going into this movie with all the accolades that he'd been nominated for, like it's a Best Picture nominee. James Franco was nominated for Best Actor. Like this movie has a lot of acclaim to it, and I like Cameron Redshaw fucking loves this movie to an insane degree. So I was like, okay, we'll check it out. I liked Slumdog Millionaire enough, so I'll see what this one's all about. And I don't know, it's kind of long. Which is weird. It's 90-some minutes. It's like 94 minutes, and it still feels long because we know where it's going within the first 30 minutes. Like, it takes 30 minutes for him to actually, get trapped, and we know where it's going. So it's like, kind of hurry up a little bit to get there. I think Franco's good in it, but I wouldn't have nominated him. Like, he's fine. Like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things about this on a technical level that is good. Like, it's edited well. It's shot really well, but, like, I don't know. I was expecting something more for, like, a Best Picture nominee from 2010. So I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I actually just bought this on Blu-ray a couple weeks ago. It was like $3.99 used, so at a used Blu-ray store that I usually go to, and so I was like, I've never seen it. I've heard good things, so I picked it up. So it's sitting on by my TV right over there, but I haven't watched it yet. But I'm gonna get to it. I've been told I would like it, but now I'm a little more apprehensive. But still gonna watch it.
I'm pretty sure I'm alone in this mediocre madness on it. So
yeah. Cody, have you seen this?
I have. I saw it back when it came out. I heard about the story. Like, it's a real thing. So, like, you basically, it's 127 hours. Like, I don't need to spoil it to anybody, but that's length. It's not the length of the movie, but that's the story ends at that point. It's fine. I think it's an interesting concept of the movie. Basically, it's James Franco kind of with himself. I mean, most of the movie, like, he's stuck in the situation and does a really good job of selling it and stuff like that. It's just not super rewatchable for me. Like, I haven't watched it probably since it came out. So it's an interesting take to watch this week. I mean, if you wanted to see it, sure, but I don't know how much fan base it has behind it. I didn't know Redshaw was a huge fan of it, but maybe he's prepared if a boulder squashes his hands or something. I don't know.
I guess.
All right. Brian, have you seen this?
Yeah, I saw it. It's it was an interesting story. I just don't know if there was enough to it to make a feature-length film out of, because you do kind of feel the length, and it does kind of feel like it's a little short on actual, content, and you kind of want to just move along. I don't think it was worthy of the awards it won. I mean, James Franco, I like more in comedies and stuff like that. I didn't think he was special, nomination worthy here. It's not a bad movie. It's worth a watch. Like, I think now with us kind of saying this, I bet you'll go in with lowered expectations. Now you'll probably very much enjoy it.
Right.
If you go in like I did when I first saw it, hearing about, all these awards it was nominated for, I was like, really? That was it?
Yeah. Scully, what about you?
I haven't seen it, but I know it's not the best movie with a prop from 127 hours. That would be This Is the End, the best movie with a prop from this movie.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Fair. That's fair. All right, Brian, least favorite movie you logged this week?
Yeah, I watched mostly decent movies this week, so I'm going back about 10 days to want to know at least a few of you liked. Spiral, The Book of Saw. I just thought this movie. First of all, Chris Rock trying to act serious. He's not a very good comedy actor, I'll say, for starters. And then to try and make him try and do drama, I thought that he's an even worse dramatic actor. I mean, the only scenes in here where he kind of had a little bit of life was where he was cracking some jokes. And that was at least mildly interesting. Same thing with, the movie didn't have a whole lot of life till Samuel L. Jackson showed up. And then he kind of brought some life to the scenes, but even he's just kind of playing himself. My main problem with this movie is that I think they kind of misread why people like the Saw movies. Because, like, they said, let's follow this police procedural that nobody cares about, and we'll throw in a couple of those, creative, crazy death scenes. But even those weren't very good. It's completely predictable from very, very early on. There are some dead giveaways that early on in this movie to kind of tell you where it's going to go. It's just a movie that I went in with kind of okay expectations. I wasn't expecting anything great out of it. But, because so few movies are coming out the theaters right now, I kind of hope everyone I go see is good. And this was just really disappointing, and I don't understand the point of it, and it was not very good.
Yeah, I'm a huge Saw fan. I love.
I usually like the Saw movies to some degree or another. Yeah.
No, I'm a huge fan. There's only one of them that I actively hate and despise. But most of them I love or not. I either love or very much enjoy. This one included. I thought it was a lot of fun. I actually thought the traps in this one were really cool and way better than the last one, Jigsaw. I thought the traps in Jigsaw were pretty lame, and this one did a really good job with the traps. I thought they were gory and cool and fun, like I want to see in a Saw movie. I thought the opening scene was baller, like super, super cool. So yeah, no, I really dug it. Chris Rock, that's what everyone's saying. I didn't hate him in the movie. I didn't love him in the movie. He was just kind of there.
The problem is he's there in every scene.
Correct. by 15 minutes in, I was kind of used to it, and it didn't really bother me. There's some other stuff. I'm also very stupid. So the telegraphed things that Brian said, Maggie pointed out to me while we were watching the movie, and I went, "Oh, you're right." And then it was like, oh, and so the rest of the movie I was just like waiting for the needle to drop. But if I had seen it by myself, I'm a moron, and I would have been like, oh, towards the end. So I had a good time with it. It's not a good movie, but I had fun. Cody, I know you're a Saw fan, but I don't think you've seen this yet, right? You're muted.
Drink.
It's really bad when we do shows and my kids are still awake. So I'm a huge Saw fan. Like, I love the first 6 Saws. Seventh one I do not like. I haven't seen Jigsaw yet, so it's kind of like I'll probably find some enjoyment in Spiral. Like, I can't even the 7th one I don't really like, but I was like, it happens. It's fine. I want to play a game. You know, the interesting horror aspect of those movies. So, yeah. Chris Rock seeing it was interesting, and Samuel L. Jackson will do a movie if you pay him anything. So, yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I don't know if I'll love it, but yeah.
Scully, you haven't seen this, right?
No, but the only experience I have from the Saw movies is reading off the wikis, helping Holtzman study for Queller, twice, I think. So reading the wikis, I mean, look, I'm not a big horror fan. I think, as you all know, I'm not a big horror guy. Jesus Christ, Boatman. But reading the premise for this movie, I think it would be one that I would enjoy, because, you know, if you like attaching Chris Rock, Sam Jackson, and Max Minghella, who I really enjoy as an actor, to this movie, I'll probably watch it at some point. I'll probably end up watching some of the Saw movies at some point. They seem like movies that I could maybe get into, but not being a big horror person, odds are of me seeing it right away, probably not.
All right, Koho, I know you saw it, so what did you think?
You're going to be mad at me because this is my first experience with the Saw franchise, but I liked it. I enjoyed my time with it. I think Chris Rock can be a great dramatic actor because he's the best thing in season 4 of Fargo by like a really large margin. But I thought he had some really rough line reads in this, but he's not nearly the worst part of this movie. Samuel L. Jackson's fine. I like Max Minghella a lot in it. Yeah, I thought this was fun. I thought this was actually, like, the police detective procedural story was fun. I thought it was an interesting way to go with a franchise that I generally have perceived as just being like violent, horrific people getting brutalized movies. To do those are 3 set pieces, just doing 3 set pieces and following the people that have to deal with the aftermath of them. I think was a fun way to go with it. And it was a way to bring me into it as someone who doesn't like horror movies. And the moments when it became a Saw movie were the moments where I was like, I was like, I don't want to be watching this. But I was like, I thought they did a good job. They definitely, the traps were all really rough for me to watch. I got paid to watch it for the radio stations. The only reason why I went and saw it, and then I saw it again for a date. So I've seen this twice now. And both times I liked it. So I don't think it's a bad movie. I thought it was pretty well done.
I will say,
why are you the way you are?
That's
Like, why?
true. I
was going to watch the first 2 Saws with my sister before I went and saw it, and then I ran out of time. So.
I will say, if you've never seen a Saw movie, you can watch this movie and completely understand everything that goes on in the movie.
Yeah,
it doesn't connect to the other 8 as much as I would have hoped. But yeah. Okay, let's move on. Scully, worst movie you logged this week.
Yeah, I watched nothing but Disney, and if this show had been live at 10 EST, it would have been another movie. But right now, it's Dinosaur.
Ooh, it's bad.
Yeah, so like I get it. People enjoy the opening scene because, hey, a lot of shit happens, and we're in the point of view of this little egg that I don't know how the fuck it didn't get eaten. I get it. It's impressive for the time. I guess the computer animation, I guess, was super big back in 2000. I just hate the animation. It's so rough. It's the lemurs are absolute nightmare fuel. Lemurs are scary ass animals in general. I don't need to see them in like run through a 2000 computer and their eyes as big as like tennis balls staring at me while I'm trying to enjoy what little bit of this movie I can enjoy. I just, there's no character depth at all whatsoever. Kron's a baby back bitch.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
I mean, so is Aladar, if we're being honest.
Fair. This is fair. They're really all not great characters except for maybe the old dinosaurs. So it's there's really nothing else to say other than it's garbage. It's the worst Disney movie that I've seen so far. It changed with Home on the Range.
Yeah, I think there's worse, but it's real bad. It's not good. I saw it as a kid, and then I hadn't seen it again until last year during quarantine. I watched it when Knights of Ren played Mischief Managed. I watched this movie, and it was a treat. And since then, I've seen it like 3 more times, and it's just I own it on Blu-ray because I'm a monster. I have crimes. It's awful. It's literally right here on.
Do you have a subscription to Disney Plus?
I do, but I also own it on Blu-ray. So you know, yeah, it's pretty fucking awful. So,
I hope it costs like 75 cents.
It was like $2.99. Yeah, not too expensive.
That's fair.
I'm sorry that you're an old fucking man, Nazario. Like we all are. Like
Nazario, I don't think
when we were kids.
I don't think you get to roast him and to Scully for seeing this as kids when you still buy toys for $200 on
eBay. Brian, have you seen this?
I have still never seen this movie. No.
Good. Don't.
Good. Cody, what about you?
I think I saw it I definitely saw it when it came out, and I've probably seen it one time before, but this is probably the most forgettable Disney movie. I always like to picture it like made by another different studio. Like this and Home on the Range and Brother Bear and stuff like that. I just don't believe those movies actually came from Disney. I believe like they took like a couple of years vacation like when these movies were being produced and made, and like came back for like Lilo and Stitch and Emperor's New Groove, but they came back like, you know, had their sister company handle these because these just don't feel like Disney movies at all whatsoever.
Koho?
This movie sucks. The opening scene is fine. I think this is absolutely the worst thing Disney's ever put out. I think this thing is atrocious. But yeah, the opening scene's the only reason why this isn't a half star and is a full star instead of a half star is because like the opening scene is kind of well done and
it is. Yeah, I
looks pretty good. And then after that opening scene. And then after that opening scene, this thing just jumps head first off the cliffs of insanity. Yeah, it's awful. But fun fact, fun exercise to do. There's an entire Wikipedia page dedicated to canceled Disney Animation Studios projects. Dinosaur 2 was one of them. But if you go down the list of movies they have made, I did this when I was in Iowa. Wild fucking movies and plots were made, including a canceled Monsters Inc. 2, which involves someone dying that you would have never expected them to die in a sequel to Monsters Inc.
Who?
Why
are you teasing me? And then
I want to save it for a future thing. I just want to see your reaction to the wiki. I want to see your reaction to the wiki when you read it yourself.
I don't believe you. You're not telling me right now. I don't believe you. Okay, so that's the last of that. So the third question we're going to talk about. What movie did we add to our watch list that we are most excited about? I'll start. I said it earlier, kind of alluded to it. Cody recommended Night of the Hunter to me, which he talked about. Is that what it was called, right? Night of the Hunter. I added it to I just wanted to make sure I had it right. I added it to my watch list right away. I like short movies. That's always fun. And I need to get into the old movies so that I can have a conversation with 90-year-old Boatman and understand what the fuck's happening. But I've been told I would like it by Cody, and Cody's usually on point when it comes to things that I'll like. So that's mine. Cody, what about you?
So I didn't really add much to my watch list. Like I'm going through Best Actor stuff right now. So Leaving Las Vegas is like the top thing on my list to watch. Just because it's one of my next entries. So yeah, I hear the performances are great or not. I was really close between this and Army of the Dead by Zack Snyder, but I decided I'm gonna watch Nicolas Cage instead.
I am excited for that one though. I'm gonna watch
Please stop. Please
I'm gonna watch it. I'm excited.
He's trash.
Yes.
Your pick.
My pick. Yes, my pick. For watch list. I added I had this written down. I swear to God I was prepared. I added a movie starring Bobby De Niro that I've been meaning to watch called Awakenings. Starring Robin Williams. I've never seen it. I have since this year watched 2 great Robert De Niro movies and a couple great Robin Williams movies, and they're in a movie together, and both are very well acclaimed for this. I think I'm mixing this up with Fisher Cake, but anyway, Bobby D in Awakenings, though, is really good. Apparently, Oscar nominee. So
Yes.
I'm going to be watching
the movie's great.
Movie's
And Fisher
fantastic.
King is good too. So you
We
should
shall
watch
see
both of
Fisher
them.
King. Yes. I love
Fisher King's fucking
No,
great
I am
too.
right. It is Robin Williams and Robert De Niro. Never mind. My brain is correct the first time.
Yes. Yeah,
Trust
you're
your gut
right.
instincts.
Yes.
Quit
Brian, what
running
about
into
you?
yourself.
Well, I have a bit of an honorable mention because I don't usually put new upcoming movies on my watch list, but after seeing the trailer for Last Night in Soho, I'm super psyched to see that.
It looks so friggin' good, dude.
Yeah,
fucking
but as far as
wild.
my actual watch list entries, is actually another Charles Grodin movie, the original Heartbreak Kid, which I have always heard about, but I just never really
Bowman
thought much of
loved
it. But now everyone's just raving about it. People are kind of rewatching it again now that he died, and I didn't realize it had such high acclaim, so I kind of want to check that out now.
Gotta be
Boatman,
better
I
than
think
the
Boatman
remake.
said the whole thing is on YouTube.
Is it?
So
Okay, cool.
It's pretty easily accessible. I could be mixing that up with a different movie, but I feel like
Yeah, he gave it 4.5 stars, so he
Yeah.
really liked it. So
I've seen the remake. That's awful. Let's go to Scully. What about you?
Brian almost stole mine because I am going to bring up Last Night in Soho because I did see the trailer this morning. I recently watched all the Edgar Wrights that I haven't seen, and watched the Cornetto trilogy for the first time, and just watching that trailer made me so much more excited for seeing what Edgar Wright does next, because usually you wait until like maybe an hour in for the oh shit moment to come in one of his movies. This trailer was filled with oh shit moments.
Mhm.
Like I cannot wait to see what kind of twists and turns he has for this movie, because just for the top 2 billed actresses, Thomasin McKenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy, I mean, those are 2 just phenomenal actresses. To see them in that kind of role is insane. And like just those 2 little shots of Matt Smith just alone staring at the camera in the trailer, just perfectly menacing. And if you didn't catch this, one of the Weasley twins is actually in a little snippet of the trailer.
Nice.
So I think just because I've seen all the Edgar Wrights now, I'm much more excited for this particular movie. So yeah, I cannot wait for Last Night in Soho.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm surprised Holtzman must have stopped watching because he hasn't said shit yet.
Holtzman, I think, hasn't watched the trailer out of just wanting to preserve it for his. I have no idea.
Oh, really?
I don't know. He might have. I don't think he shared it. I think Scully was the one in the group chat that was like, "Guys, Last Night in Soho trailer." So
he probably watched it and it's been on oxygen all day.
That's true.
I will say also, if we're gonna talk about trailers and stuff, I know that I'm like the Disney shill here, but talking about Marvel, that Eternals trailer I thought was really cool. I thought it looks really cool. Chloe Zhao knows what she's doing behind the camera, and I thought it looked great. So we'll leave it on that note. We're gonna move over to
also, Dear Evan Hansen is a beautiful trailer.
Yes, that's also true. Dear Evan,
the least convincing high schooler you've ever seen.
Scully, you're alone on this weird.
Dear
fucking
Evan Hansen looks very, very good. Yeah, no, I'm.
He looks creepy.
I've cried so many times to this trailer already. It's so good.
He's too old, but I still
sorry.
want to see.
Yeah. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the second part of the show, where the title of the show, Movie Anti-Heroes. We're going to talk about movie anti-heroes. Each of us have brought a few movies to talk about, but we're actually only going to be able to get 2 in to make a top 10 list. There's no yikesing. There's no vetoing, none of that. So, for example, Cody said it earlier, the iceberg from Titanic. If you consider that an anti-hero, and I say it, and it was Cody's number 1, well, it's already on the list. He gets 3 now, I guess.
I just consider it the hero.
Oh, that's fair. So we're gonna.
This is why we're a team.
So we're gonna each put in two movies / characters. Kind of talk about both, kind of going hand in hand. Some of mine are multiple movies and people, but so I'll go first. And my first pick, I'm going to type it in as fast as I can. I should have done this earlier. I didn't even, I did a search and was actually looking through a ton of movies. So the one that I am going with first is going to be Michael Corleone, the Godfather trilogy. I think he's an anti-hero. I think he 100% is an anti-hero because you are following him the whole time, and he does a lot of really messed up shit, but also does a lot of good shit, kind of. It's one of those things where it's like, it's with every crime movie. Me and Cody talk about this a lot. You love all the characters, but they're maybe not the best characters. I think this is a great example of that, because he starts out so innocent and trying to not get sucked in to what his family is like. And then the final shot of that first movie, just when I'm spoiling The Godfather, who gives a shit, but the final shot of the movie is just like insane at that point, to see how he's transformed from the beginning to the end, and then fast forward all the way to the end of the second movie on top of it. The shit that he does at the end of the second movie too is just like insane. So and I won't lie to you, I've only seen the third one once. I have no desire to rewatch it. I probably will eventually, but I don't care. So what do we think about this, Cody?
Oh, trash, horrible pick. What the heck are you doing? No, see the anti-hero 100%, because the entire time you're rooting for Michael Corleone, and you really would like Michael Corleone to probably kill some more people, which is pretty messed up. I just like his arc throughout the entire trilogy. Again, I really wish they would have done something different with the third one, called it something else, or made it the Robert De Niro Vito story in the third one, in a prequel, because he doesn't lose anything in that one. It's just doesn't live up to the hype. But that first one is always going to reign really high for me, especially when he, like, that entire scene at the end when he's like not saying anything and his face is doing the entire acting when he goes to the bathroom. It's just like, well, it's not the last scene, but I'm like, when that part happens, like, it's one of the best scenes in any movie ever. So yeah, it was on my list. So good choice.
Fair.
Which was on my list as well. Great choice. Godfather trilogy is dope. Finally finished it with Godfather Part 3. I don't hate the movie. Kind of liked it. Al Pacino is great. Love Michael Corleone.
I'm indifferent to the Godfather movies. I mean, no, it's like I always acknowledge they're well-made movies, just not my thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've only seen both all the way through once, and that was a while ago. But I've seen like bits and pieces of it like so often that it feels like I've seen it a lot. But yeah, he is 100% the definition of an anti-hero. His journey just across those first two films alone is such great character development and kind of development into kind of what he is at the end of the second one. I haven't seen the third one. But yeah, this I initially had it on my list, but then I figured this one's going to be chosen in like the first two picks anyway, so I just took it off my list.
All right, Cody, what's your first pick?
So my first pick, not a lot of shock here for most people that know me pretty well. But I went also in the same crime wave because that's just who I am.
I think I'm starting to play what you're picking.
Yeah, who is it? That's interesting, right? I went with I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Dang it! But I'm doing De Niro from The Irishman.
That is not what I typed in.
Frank Sheeran from The Irishman.
I thought for sure it was Denzel.
I was thinking it was either a De Niro or a Denzel. I was wondering which one it was.
There's a lot that I could have went with on this one. But this movie, I'm not going to get into much of it because I will talk about this more in depth somewhere. But with this character, this movie is just insane. I think I understand it could not be for everybody. I can understand that the de-aging can take some people out of the movie. I don't care, like, at all. I think that first hour flies by for me, and the rest of the movie, especially when Jimmy Hoffa shows up, the movie is absolutely on cruise control at that point. This movie is insane, and I think De Niro is giving one of his best performances ever in this film, like, by far. He's played this kind of character numerous times, but where he's able to, like, give it at this age and do the stuff he's doing throughout this with Pacino and Pesci on screen. Yeah, The Irishman keeps climbing for me. So, yep, it's The Irishman for me.
Yeah, I love this movie too. Me and Cody talk about this movie a lot. It keeps climbing my Scorsese list too. Favorite director, of course. I'm gonna fucking love this movie. It's great. It makes me sad that Pacino and Scorsese will probably never work together again, and hadn't worked together in the past. Makes me sad. But Frank Sheeran, great character. I really like his whole story the whole time, and what he has to do towards the end of the movie is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. So, Koho, what about you?
Good choice. I like The Irishman decent amount. I like it more than Goodfellas, which is kind of like a blasphemous take. Was a blasphemous take like 2 years ago, like a lot. But like, I think it's a gangster epic of one of the highest orders. I think if you put Pesci, Pacino, and De Niro in a movie, it's like a recipe for amazing success. I love Pacino in it, but I think that Frank is a really compelling character, and definitely one of De Niro's best performances. So yeah, good choice.
I tried to watch this movie twice. Both times made it less than a third of the way through before I turned it off out of sheer boredom.
Yeah, this movie is long. I think the first time I watched it, I had to break it up into like hour and 15 long segments. But kind of echoing Brian, it is slow, but I definitely got through it. It definitely picks up more sort of towards the end. I genuinely really, really enjoyed the movie. I need to watch it again. I really do. But yeah, this whole character, his like much like with Corleone, his development is just so interesting to watch through. I know I mispronounced.
I was
it, but-
did you say that again?
I was like, you want to say that one more time for me?
Anyway, his character arc is really great. I think like the last hour is just so good, and just what he does towards the end, it kind of breaks your heart a little bit, but then you understand why he's got to do it. So yeah.
For all of you people who are saying that this movie is too long, let me tell you something. First time I saw this movie was in the theater. Didn't get up to pee once. I sat there, I enjoyed the film, and I loved it.
Cinema.
Maggie, who has the bladder of a flea, got up to pee only one time. And I will also say this. If a movie is over 94 minutes, Maggie complains about the length. It's too long. That's a long movie. I don't want to watch that movie. It's too long. She loves this movie. She asked to watch this movie once, and I love her even more now for it. So this movie's not too long. It should have been longer.
I would like the record to show I didn't say it was too long. I just said it was boring as shit.
I'd like the record to state Al Pacino is a god among men and therefore should have won the Oscar that year over Brad Pitt. Thank you very much.
All right. Koho, what's your first pick?
Speaking of Al Pacino, I love the man to death. I think he has a better movie anti-hero that he plays from a movie from 1975 called Dog Day Afternoon. Sonny Wortzik is a great anti-hero. One of the more compelling characters that he's played in his career. You're rooting for him the entire time through this bank heist. He has very good reasons for the bank heist, and that's sort of what you learn over the course of this movie, which is really well scripted and really well directed by Lumet, and Pacino is just amazing. So yeah, Sonny Wortzik, Dog Day Afternoon, I think is a phenomenal movie anti-hero.
Yeah, I just saw this for the first time a few months ago. I had never seen it. And I loved it. I thought it was great. Had a really, really good time watching it. I didn't know a lot about some of the stuff about the movie, and I really liked it. I thought it was fun. Not fun, but like Pacino's really good in it. I like crime stuff like this, so I was all about this movie. And yeah, so I don't know it enough to say that it's like top 10 anti-heroes, but like sure, yeah, I agree with you. I was rooting for him even though he was kind of a dirtbag. But Cody,
Dog Day is a movie that keeps climbing. It's already in my top 100. I think this movie is insane. I think what they're able to pull off in the 70s is kind of insane to be able to pull that off, because like they tackle some subject matters that I think even today would be a bold take. They were able to just Sidney Lumet just didn't care. Like he just went for it, and I applaud it. This movie is from Jump Street. I still the part that would like skyrocket this, if he just yells at that kid that says I can't do this, like in the Pacino way he yells. Oh, instant classic. Like it would be number one on my list because I'm missing a Pacino yell at some point. Like he yells Attica, and that's really cool. But yeah, this was on my list. It was a clear bring up. I was going to bring up at some point, so respect on that one. And Nico, before you hit enter in the chat, just use your brain. Like sometimes delete things. Don't talk. You don't need to talk.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, this was on my list when I was kind of brainstorming ideas for anti-heroes. It's definitely, I think, probably Pacino's best performance, and it's a great movie beginning to end. So good choice.
Scully, have you seen it?
Yeah, I have not seen it. I almost watched it a couple weeks ago, but just ran out of time. So I've not seen it yet. Although when I do get a break from Fandom next time, this will.
He's
be
waiting
like
for
one
the
of
Disney
first
version.
things.
Yep, he needs to be
Exactly.
animated.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Bunch of animals, yeah.
All right, Brian,
Yeah,
what's
with
your
a
first
lolly.
pick?
Let's see, what should I go with first?
Here we go.
You know what?
It's going to get wild.
No, this one I'll say pretty
good.
unsurprising. Although I'm surprised, I'll take it from Koho up there.
I knew
Captain
you
Jack
would
Sparrow.
take it if I did. There we go.
Captain Jack Sparrow. Yeah, I mean, this is a guy. I mean, obviously, he's kind of the hero of the series. He's the main character of it. I love all three of the first movies. The last two, not quite as good, but he is still a great character in them. He's definitely an anti-hero because, I mean, this is a guy who's a pirate. So, I mean, he's stealing, he's pillaging, and, of course, he's betraying everyone any chance he gets. So, I mean, I don't know how you get more of a definition of an anti-hero than somebody who is, really would be a villain in a lot of movies, but here he's the hero.
I was kidding, Tim. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I like you. Yeah, I like the character a lot, especially in the first movie. This is tough. Yeah, no, I do. I like him a lot in the first movie. By the second movie, I'm kind of over it already. I like the second movie. I think the second movie's fun. It's not it's not a 5-star movie to me like it is to some other people in the community. There's more than just you, Koho, so no shade at you. But it becomes a cartoon so quick that I'm just not about it anymore. By the third movie, I'm so over it. And even the second one with the whole on the one island and being the king of those native people and I think it's so fucking stupid. So yeah, no, I like the character in the first one a lot. As it goes on, it's not really the reason I'm watching the movies anymore. So yeah. Koho, you go last.
Nah, I figured.
Just a real quick. At the end of this ranking period, are we ranking the movie itself or the character?
It's the characters, isn't it? Yeah.
I would assume the characters.
Yeah, because I picked based on the character because he's a great character they created. Yeah.
Okay, well that's perfect because he's gonna have 3 movies that fucking weigh him down to the bottom of the fucking ocean. I'm gonna be honest with you. The first 2 I love. Automatically, probably top 200 films of all time. I love both the first 2. And then we had an iceberg on the final 3, and they're trash. They're unwatchable trash. And he is a character of himself. He is drunk on rum, I'm pretty sure, by the 4th and 5th one, completely hammered. I don't think he's sober at all in any of these movies. So, yeah, first 2 great, but the rest are going to really hurt him when it comes to my ranking.
Yeah, I love Jack Sparrow as a character. I think especially in the first one, I think he's at his most devious, kind of playing all their characters off of each other. And that's what I love most about him. That's what makes him a true anti-hero. He's doing everything for his own benefit, except for a few moments towards the end of every film where he'll do the unselfish thing and then be the hero. But he's definitely at his best when he's playing an anti-hero, when he's doing everything for just himself and nobody else. That is the best version of Jack Sparrow that we get. I'm with Koho and Brian. I do really like the first 3, the last 2. 4th one is trash. 5th one is, it's fine. It's not great. But yeah, I love Jack Sparrow. He was on the bottom of my list, but I still put him there as an honorable mention.
I figured Brian would bring him up if I didn't, so I could sneak a second spot in. Yeah, Captain Jack Sparrow is my favorite movie character, period. I love Jack Sparrow. I think he's great in basically all 5. I think he's the best part of all 5 movies. I think in the first 3, he's absolutely a full-on anti-hero, where he's manipulating Will and Elizabeth and everyone around him, and then has those moments like at the end of Dead Man's Chest where he does the right thing because he feels guilty for having manipulated literally everyone for the entire runtime of the movie. Absolute anti-hero, but he's the best of them. I love Jack in every movie. Yeah, even in the 5th one where the director just screamed, "Be drunker." I think he's still not bad. He's good in all 5 movies to me. So I love Jack.
All right, Scully, what's your first?
As far back as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a gangster. Henry Hill from Goodfellas. This is Goodfellas is a movie that I can just rewatch over and over and over again. And Henry Hill is just one of the most intriguing movie characters I've ever seen put to screen, because we just get his entire life story in 2.5 hours. We see him as a kid kind of roped into this world of crime, seeing the kind of the mafia as kind of a business, as a way of life, unlike anything we've ever seen before, and how he kind of adapts to that, and how, you know, as he gets older, he becomes more and more and more unhinged, and he starts to more act for himself than all those around him, then Paulie, then Tuddy, then all the guys around him. Especially after he gets out of jail for the first time and he starts dealing a bunch of hard drugs. He starts getting addicted. He starts lashing out at Karen and everybody he meets. He just becomes slowly more and more unhinged. And I think that entire scene, that entire scene of just the one day in 1980 where you start up in the morning and it ends with him getting arrested by the feds at night. I think that entire day perfectly encapsulates how far he has fallen from being that idealistic kid at the beginning who just wanted to make something of his life. So he just falls further and further down, and at the end, he rats everybody out. He makes the final act to just save himself and his family, which is kind of unselfish, but he has to sacrifice everything, all the connections he made, all the friends he made along the way. So instant answer here for me, one of the most intriguing film characters ever, and a great performance by Ray Liotta. I absolutely love this movie.
Yeah, I really love this movie too. I haven't seen it as much as I would have liked to. I've only seen it like 3 or 4 times, which is kind of weird considering how much I love Scorsese, but I love it every time I watch it. I think the third act that Scully was talking about a lot, I'm not the biggest fan of, but overall I still enjoy the movie. It's still, in my eyes, one of the best crime movies ever. Yeah, I think it's just gone down on my list a little bit on Scorsese, but I think the character in the movie is really, really great. I like the character a lot. I love the scene where they go to get the car, right? Or they go to get the stuff to bury him or whatever from the house. They have dinner. And they have the whole dinner. That's right. And they have the whole dinner scene waiting. Like I like that whole sequence. There's a lot of good stuff in this movie. A lot of good moments.
Why don't you talk much? You're very quiet.
But yeah, that's my take. Cody?
I mean, it's Goodfellas. It's top echelon mob movie for me. Henry Hill is the character I don't like the most in this movie, and I know it's weird, but I think Ray Liotta is annoying as fuck. Like, if I'm being real honest, his laugh is one of the most gut wrenching. Like it's so bad to me. I would have picked James. I would have picked De Niro's character from this movie if I want to root for somebody.
I think he's more of a villain than an anti-hero, but that's fair.
Not a chance. No, thank you, sir. The person that rats out the family should sleep with the fishes. Basically, I love this movie. This movie is. I'm actually just about to start it. Like, after this is over, I'm watching Goodfellas tonight. So, yeah, I can't say anything negative really. I'm hoping that last time I watched it, I didn't really like the third act as much. I'm hoping this time when I rewatch it, maybe it was a bad day. It's kind of weird on me, but no, fantastic movie, good choice.
Oh,
I don't like Goodfellas that much as everyone else. I think the movie's fine. But the reason why I think it is lower than it would normally be is because I think Ray Liotta is awful in it. I think Henry Hill is a bad character that I don't give a shit about for the entirety of the time. I love Joe Pesci. I love Robert De Niro. I don't like Henry Hill or Ray Liotta, basically at all. It was my biggest issue when I watched Goodfellas. It's the reason why it's like
you
3.5.
give B movie 5 stars for that.
Because that movie is
really
cinematic perfection, and Jerry Seinfeld should have 18 Oscars for that movie alone.
Okay, Brian.
There's way too many mob and mafia movies on this list for my taste.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of agree with that too.
Yeah, Goodfellas kind of falls in that Godfather category for me, where it's a good movie. Not that I'm going to watch it again. So.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to. We're back to me. Okay, so my let's see. A couple of mine were taken off. Okay, I'm gonna be Tim. I'm gonna be the fandom guy, and I am going to go with which one am I gonna go with, Cody? Am I gonna go with Deadpool and piss you off, or what am I gonna?
I expect him to show up at some point, and
I like watching him vamp while he types.
I am doing Magneto from the X-Men franchise, specifically more so the Michael Fassbender, but also the Ian McKellen a little bit in moments because he definitely has anti-hero qualities in X2. I think Magneto is probably my favorite X-Men character. I think he's just awesome. I never was too hardcore into the X-Men comics, but watched a little bit of the animated show, but I'm mostly the movies, and I think he's the best. I think Ian McKellen is awesome. I think Michael Fassbender is awesome. Like I said, the stuff that Magneto does in X2 I think is great, and then of course him in First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse. I think he's very much an anti-hero, and say what you will about Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, but his kind of story between all 4 of those movies I think is really strong and really powerful, and probably the best performance out of any of these X-Men movies is him, with McAvoy in a close second. So some people might consider, Wolverine an anti-hero, meh in the movies. He's pretty much a hero. I take Magneto every time. So yeah, Magneto. Cody.
Oh, Magneto's probably my favorite X-Men character of all time. Pretty much, probably my favorite comic book villain of all time. I mean, he's got an actual backstory that you can get behind. The rest of them is he was dropped in this, and he was made in this lab, and somebody cut him off in traffic, and he became he was through the Holocaust, and saw a family killed, and he decided, wait, I have this power, and they're trying to eliminate me, so I'm going to eliminate them. You can't argue with his justification of why he is where he is. He maybe doesn't handle it the best way. But I think it's impressive that you get 2 comic book movies, 2 comic book series, and you cast 2 different actors, and you get the best performance in both of the series, in both movies. It's weird how that works. You get Fassbender and Ian McKellen, and you have that thing of Ian McKellen, you're not as good as Fassbender, or Fassbender, you're not as good as Ian McKellen. Nope. They're about equal, through and through. They play 2 different characters, young and the old, and it works perfectly throughout. I think Magneto has one of my favorite comic book scenes of all time in that bar when he's talking about to the pig farmer. I think it's just absolutely insane. And he also has one of my favorite comic book scenes in X2 when he's like, next time a girl hits on you, too much iron in your bones, and does the entire metal thing. It's so good. Think a woman's interested in you. Great choice. I didn't even think about it, to be honest with you. So well done.
Koho.
Great choice. He was on my list. I think that he's the best part of the X-Men franchise to me. I think Fassbender and McKellen are both fantastic at it. Cody's scene was great. I think that he has so many great moments, especially Fassbender. He has a show-stopping moment just about every single one of the movies he's in. And I think that honestly just makes him stand out. Like Cody said, he has the most justified reason for doing what he's doing. It's hard to argue with Magneto. But yeah, I think that sort of debate between 2 ways about doing the same thing between Magneto and Professor X is really interesting, and their relationship is so compelling and dynamic and rich, and I think they mine it for all it's worth in the 4 new ones for sure. So yeah, good choice.
Brian?
Yeah, I was always a big X-Men comics reader back in the day, and the creators have always said that basically Magneto was Malcolm X to Professor X's Martin Luther King. They're both people that were trying to do things to elevate their people, just in, they took different approaches to it. Now, in the case of Magneto, obviously his is, more violent. He doesn't care about, regular humans, things like that. But his intentions for his people are positive. So he's definitely, a hero in that way, but obviously, definitely an anti-hero because he's also killing plenty of other people along the way. So, I mean, yeah, great choice.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal pick. This was on my list. I think especially once you get to the to Fassbender's Magneto, you create so much more depth within that character. You get actually more backstory to him as a child. Schmidt shooting his mother just right in front of him. So you have that basis for why he is so cold and why he's so menacing. X-Men First Class is the definitive Magneto movie. That is Magneto. That is why Magneto is Magneto, and it does such a great job in establishing that. Yes, he's a villain, but he's doing everything for what he believes are the right reasons, and a lot of them are the right reasons. And I even in Apocalypse, which is not the best movie, but it has that heartbreaking scene when his wife and daughter are killed right in front of him, and he just goes absolutely berserk. He is a character with so much mental strain on him, so much pain and anguish in him that you have to feel sorry for him. It doesn't make him that cold-hearted villain that a lot of other comic book villains are. He has a reason for everything he does, so it makes him just one of the best anti-heroes ever created, and one of the best comic book characters ever created. I personally am more of a Professor X fan than Magneto fan, but I think both equally are just so good and so well played by two different actors, in two separate kind of sub franchises that all roll into one. So yeah, this is a fantastic pick.
All right, Cody, what's your second pick?
So I could go a lot of different ways, but I'm going to go this way because it's so fresh in my mind. I am going from a movie from 2013. I'm going Jordan Belfort.
That's what I thought you were going to do before.
On my list too.
I found so much more appreciation the last time I watched this than I have the past few times. There's something like I hate long runtime in movies, but when they're good when they're good movies and they have a long runtime, I have zero issues whatsoever. Like it could be longer, it could be more convoluted, it could be crazy. This movie is like Scorsese just teaching, like basically the movie's just about excess, like just nonstop, a person that can't literally get enough, and the bad stuff that follows basically his entire life. I think he gives it. I am still in shock and awe that this man did not win the Oscar for this performance right here. He is working circles around people. Alone, if you could have given him just best supporting actor for himself, crawling to his car, and crawling back in the house to attack Jonah Hill. Like those two scenes alone, enough said. He's such physical acting. Hang up the phone. It's just like where he starts, like where the character starts and where he ends, and like all the stuff in between, and how crazy he gets, and how he acts when he's on drugs, and how you're not supposed to root for this guy. This guy is literally the epitome of most people in this world could not care, like want him to succeed at all. Put him in jail, handcuff him. I wanted him to get away with it so much in this entire movie. Even when the FBI's come to his yacht and sit there and be like, "Oh, did you just bribe an officer? Why don't you get the fuck off my yacht?" And like starts throwing $100 bills at him. Like, "Oh, it's a year's salary for you." Yeah, so good. This movie is insane. I think it's one of Scorsese's best films of all time. And I was nice to Brian. I didn't make it mob related, so it's not mob related. So
yeah,
it's
crime still. My this is my second favorite.
Move to white collar crimes.
This is my second favorite Scorsese movie. I love this movie to pieces. I think Leo is fantastic in the movie. It breaks my heart every time I watch it. to see the scene with him and Matthew McConaughey where he's just staring at the guy who stole his Oscar a couple years before he got his. But
and that's the truth.
Yeah, but it's a great movie. This was kind of like everybody kind of has that movie that got them like into movies. I've always loved movies ever since I was a little kid. I
always wanted to watch cinema.
I've always, as long as I can remember, I've always watched cinema. No, but this was the one where I remember seeing it in the theater and just being so floored by it, and not realizing that like movies other than like Disney and the Lord of the Rings and stuff could get like an emotion out of me. So, I freaking love this movie. I made the critical error of showing this to Maggie only a couple months into us dating. Terrible error on my part. I wish I could take it back, but I think she's grown to maybe appreciate it a little more. I don't think she loves it, but
yeah, that opening scene, man.
It was her. I remember her parents tried to watch it once, and they are like very Catholic, and her mom was like, "Oh, that's a butthole," and we turned it off. And I said, "I didn't think you would like it." That's fair. But anyway, Koho, your take.
Yeah, the movie rips. I think that Leonardo DiCaprio is great in it. Of the nominees that year, absolutely deserved the Oscar. He's fantastic. Should have won it, especially over McConaughey. I think Dallas Buyers Club is really meh. But yeah, no, this is a great choice. The entire movie, you sit there and you see him grow into the person he becomes, and all the way you're kind of just, you understand why he does what he does, and you see him stand up there like where he's like, I'm not fucking leaving. You're like, no, damn it, Jordan. But also you're like, fuck yeah, Jordan. It's such a weird mixture where you're like, you know what he should be doing, but you're totally content with what he is doing because you just want him to succeed, even though he's kind of a shitty human being. So yeah, Wolf of Wall Street, good choice.
Brian, what about you?
This is actually one of the few Scorsese movies that I actually really enjoy. I do. I think that Leonardo DiCaprio as Jordan Belfort does a phenomenal job. I mean, I think the supporting cast around him was great as well. But I thought this is one of probably Leo's best actual performances as far as his acting. And so, yeah, good pick.
Yeah, I absolutely love this movie and love this performance. You know, McConaughey is sitting at home right now with an Oscar that has DiCaprio's name on it.
Yep.
So
his Oscar speech was.
It is one of the best speeches. But I absolutely love this movie. I think the reason I love it so much is that I equated a little bit to Goodfellas. It's at the start, it's an idealistic young guy who has a lot of hope that he wants to break into this industry that he wants to get in. But the deeper and deeper he goes, he figures out more and more ways that how he can benefit himself, and kind of like game the system to work only for him and only for him. And at the end, you know, he just kind of throws all his relationships away, and now in the end he's just kind of all alone by himself. But like the journey to how we get there is just so awesome to watch. Like, you know, this is a terrible human being, but you want him to keep getting away with what he's doing. Every absurd little thing that happens, you wish you could see it happen again, just because how absurd it is. Like, the first time I watched this, I was like 14 years old, and I really wasn't supposed to watch it.
Yikes.
But it was like it was a weird, insane, awesome experience. Because this is just a movie that I stared at. I'm like, how the hell was this so? How the hell did this get made with like more fucks per scene than I think a lot of other films ever made? It might have, I think, the most fucks in any movie. I could be wrong. But it's definitely a Scorsese
At that
film.
point, I think it was the top.
Yeah.
But yeah, Belfort himself is a very, very much an anti-hero. He's just, again, his journey throughout the film, it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. He just dives further into madness, and DiCaprio's performance is otherworldly.
Benny fucking Hanna.
Benny
Okay.
fucking Hanna.
Why, God? Why?
The Chinese hibachi is the one that takes me down.
All right, Koho, what's yours? Next one.
I'm stuck because I look at my list and I go, I like literally every single one on my list underneath because my top 3 are already out. This is tough. I will go. Yeah, I'll go with recency. I'm gonna pick Travis Bickle, Taxi Driver. I think that Taxi Driver is
this Scorsese?
Scorsese. Another Scorsese. Scorsese is just like really good at directing anti-heroes, or something. But no, I think De Niro's performance as Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver is really, 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 really haunting and really good. The character he creates of this guy who is really fucked up. Is just this really fucked up dude, but like, and he just clearly doesn't understand people or like social cues or anything. But at the end, does something really extreme and really violent, really disturbing for a good reason to like protect Jodie Foster and help get her out of a really fucked up situation. So yeah, I think he's one of the characters that comes to my mind first when I think of the word antihero in film. Yeah, Taxi Driver is fucking great. Travis Bickle is very interesting character.
So fun fact, I've seen this movie one time. I am like I've said all night, huge Scorsese fan. I watched it once, I loved it, and then when it was time for me to kind of go back to it, my dearest friend Cody Newberry said, "Man, that ending," and I said, "What?" And he said, "Not a fan. Didn't like it a lot on rewatch the ending," and I was like, oh, so now I'm just like nervous to rewatch it, but I'll get there. I will rewatch it because I love Bobby and I love Scorsese, so I will watch it again. But I have only seen it once. It was back in like 2015, 16. It's been a long time, but I'll get there. But good pick, absolutely, Cody.
Yeah, Travis Bickle is a fantastic character through and through. He basically knows what he wants and doesn't not accept no for an answer ever. And that's basically his demise. I think he's giving one of his best performances ever. The last 3 minutes of this movie completely just ruined Travis Bickle to he's not a character that needs redeeming. Like, that's the whole problem with this entire movie. Is they try to redeem him in the last 30 minutes. And I understand there's different ways you can take it. It's like, this is his last thing. He's dying. So this is like his vision of what his life could have been, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. You're still painting the picture. And then you leave it up for interpretation. And the interpretation that I take, that you're trying to redeem this terrible character that doesn't need redeeming, because that's not who Bickle is. So it has always hurt this film. I'm going to rewatch it. Hopefully, maybe my opinions change, but right now I'm pretty adamant on I do not like the ending of this movie. But I've also thought maybe when it starts to fade, I just turn off the movie. And in my reality, it never happened because I gained nothing from it because it's not real.
It's fair.
Crazy.
It's absolutely fair. Brian?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I'm just happy I didn't pick Joker. So, that would have been worse. But
Joker's villain.
I mean, this is another one of those. It's a great performance, obviously, and a good character. So for judging the character, it is definitely a good anti-hero. The movie itself just falls in the category of things that not my thing. It's a whole crime thing we keep going here.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I've never seen this movie. I haven't seen a lot of older Scorsese. I haven't really touched yet, but I need to. But I've heard great things. I know a lot of people in this community really, really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm excited to one day potentially watch it.
All right. Brian.
It's a very Scully movie, I will say.
Yikes. That concerns me.
You're going to like it, Amy.
Okay.
Yeah. For my last one, I was kind of worried about the definition of an anti-hero, but then when you picked Jordan Belfort, I mean, who's not really a hero in any way, but I think it's kind of works because definition of anti-hero is basically just doesn't have to be a hero. It's just the protagonist of the movie who's like not very heroic.
So Jordan Belfort.
No, it's kind of the same kind of character though. I'm gonna pick Louis Bloom, which is Jake Gyllenhaal's character in Nightcrawler.
Nice pick, dude. Nice.
Yeah, because I mean, this is a guy who, the beginning of the movie, he's just looking for a job, and then as it proceeds, he wants to, be successful. He wants to get rich. Then he starts wanting credit, and he wants, fame. And this is a guy who's basically just out for himself. But along the way, he does not care who he screws over. I mean, he's blackmailing his boss, not only for the job, but also into going on a date with him, and it's kind of implied even sleeping with him because of it. He's screwing over people who are working for him. He's letting crimes happen, and actually basically people are getting killed because of his actions or inactions, just so he can get the shot, so he can get this compelling video that he can sell and get some notoriety from. This is a character who I don't think I'm not even sure if he has any redeeming qualities, because he's just all about himself and he doesn't care who he screws to get it. But it's such a compelling character, largely due to Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, who was completely screwed over, not only for a nomination. He should have won the Oscar that year for Best Actor. Yeah. I mean, they nominated like Steve Carell for Foxcatcher and Benedict Cumberbatch for Imitation Game, and I don't remember who else was that year. But there's definitely slots where he should have been nominated, and in my opinion, even won because of this. So yeah, that's my pick is Nightcrawler. This Blue.
Yeah, this is the movie that made me fall in love with Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, I had seen him in other stuff before, but like I said, this was in 2014, so this was around that time where I had just seen Wolf of Wall Street. Then this was coming out like a year later, so I really, really fell in love with him, and I fell in love with this movie. Saw this twice in the theater, watched it a few times on Blu-ray. Really, really love this movie. There's so many, like, you wouldn't think, but there are many quotable moments in this movie. There's a scene where he's like, with Rene Russo, and he's like, when I say that I want these things, it means that I want them, and I want them done in this way. And it's like Jake Gyllenhaal just being like so fucking perfect as this character. He actually, I think, look at Tim bringing it back to fandom. He actually channels a little bit of this in his Quentin Beck in Spider-Man. I think just a little bit, like the weird like intensity part of it. But from the get-go, from the opening scene of the movie, you just like have an uneasy feeling about this dude, and then he kind of forms like a friendship with Riz Ahmed, and by the end of the movie, the shit that goes down with the two of them, like it's insane. And there was the big trailer moment of him like with the mirror, like smashing the mirror, but that scene in the movie is freaking great. I love this pick. This is a great pick, Brian. Yeah, I agree. He should have won the Oscar. Who won that year?
Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah,
no.
no.
The theory of everything.
Yeah, no. He should have won the Oscar, and he wasn't even nominated. Because this was also the year that everyone was mad that the Lego Movie wasn't nominated. So yeah, it's all coming back to me. But
yeah,
no. I absolutely love this movie and this character. I think it's fascinating. And I believe this was also one of Bill Paxton's last roles, too.
Mm-hmm. It's one of them, yeah. I'm not sure if it's his actual full last one, but it's one of them, yeah.
Yeah, and he's really good in the movie, too. So, yeah, great pick. And this director hasn't made anything good since.
Hey, now. Roman J. is your last square. It's not bad.
I actually haven't seen that one. But.
Denzel's great.
So everybody was like, oh, he should have been nominated. And I was like, okay, I'll go check it out. And when I checked it out, it makes sense. As somebody that just saw the theory of everything for the first time, does Eddie Redmayne give a fantastic performance in the role that he has played? Yes, I think he does. I think he does a lot of like good acting, but nothing compared to what he's doing in Nightcrawler in this film. Plus, like, Bradley Cooper got nominated for American Sniper.
Yeah.
A man doesn't say anything the entire movie. He just holds a gun. So, really weird choice on that one. Yeah. He could have clearly get nominated, clearly won. I think the insane thing is like when he sees that thing go down the house, and then instead of doing anything else, he just runs to the house and records everything and gets it in, and then like shows up and then calls the cops to like know what's about to happen and like sets every piece up, and like the whole part with Riz Ahmed, like just like stay there and just oh gosh. Just how
I might rewatch this now.
The descent into madness he goes. I honestly forgot about it. I think this is a really great choice. I wish I actually would have brought it up, but the descent into madness that he goes for, but you're still like, rooting for him, which is kind of sick and fucked up. But
that scene at the mansion or whatever that you were talking about, when he's like running up and down the driveway, and like you do have that feeling of like, I'm kind of wanting him to get the shot, but also like this is really fucked up right now. Yeah, absolutely great.
Yeah, so great choice. Great choice.
Koho, have you seen this?
I fucking love Nightcrawler. Okay. This is great. It was on my top 100 at one point. I think it might just be hovering outside of it right now. But Jake Gyllenhaal too. Hey, it was like 40. It was like 40 spots higher.
if I remember right. But anyway, I think Jake Gyllenhaal gives one of the best performances I've ever seen in Nightcrawler. I think he's incredible. He absolutely should have won. Redmayne shouldn't have been nominated. He is so boring. Take Redmayne, take Cooper, and take fucking Carell and throw them out. Where was Oyelowo? Where was Gyllenhaal? Cumberbatch and Keaton are the only two I keep. And where was Ray Fiennes either? Grand Budapest, he was great. But
in which one?
Ray Fiennes in Grand Budapest is great.
Oh, Grand Budapest, yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
He's incredible. He's like the best part of that movie.
Oh, yeah.
He's better than Redmayne sleepwalking through being Stephen Hawking. Look, at the end of the day, Nightcrawler is great. Great choice for Lou Bloom. Very compelling character. The ending with Riz Ahmed is a devastating scene, and you just sit there and you're just like, fuck. Lou Bloom is great. So.
Yeah, I know I've seen this movie. It was a while ago. I just can't remember a damn thing about this movie. But I know that Gyllenhaal, Gyllenhaal is fantastic. I think he will give another performance, not identical to this, but similar to this one day, and he'll get his Oscar nom because he's too good of an actor to not have that on his resume.
He is good in literally everything. Even like, did any of you see that movie Stronger? That was, I think,
he got a Golden Globe or something.
It was David Green, I think, directed it, and he's so good.
I've seen stuff about it. I've never seen the movie.
It's like he's just good in like all these little movies. There was another movie, Southpaw. There was another one around that time, Demolition, which the movie's like not that great, but he's so good in it. It's like he's just great in everything.
Obviously, he's amazing in Prisoners.
Oh, Detective Loki. Oh God, that movie is. Oh, I fucking love that movie.
MCU connection.
Yep, Gyllenhaal was supposed to be Loki.
All right, Scully, you're bringing up the last movie.
All right, we're done with Scorsese. No more Scorsese picks. This is gonna be a Tarantino pick. This is gonna be Jules Winfield from Pulp Fiction.
That was the one I was gonna bring up before I brought up Pulp Fiction.
He's also on my list.
I think that this character, just the performance by Samuel L. Jackson is just insane. I think. He takes he takes the script he's given and he just adds so much of his own flair to it. It's tremendous. But the character of Jules, even with that first scene, just in the apartment, where he's just kind of toying with with the two guys, and he's like, "Oh, I see you're having breakfast," and just all throughout the scene, you're just waiting for that pin to drop, and then the voice just gets louder and louder and louder, and then he just shoots the guy. And then as you go throughout the film and the more scenes he's in, you see, that scene before they meet with Marcellus, where he's talking about retiring and he's talking about walking away. And then, transition to the end of the film where they're in the diner and they're stopping Tim Roth and Honey Bunny or whatever her name is from essentially tearing the whole place down. He just gets very philosophical and he kind of rethinks his Bible phrase that he recited at the beginning of the day to Brad, Brad or Brett or whatever his name was, the guy he shot. Was like, well, now I'm thinking that maybe I'm the shepherd, or I can't remember who he thinks he is now. But his character just kind of takes a more philosophical turn at the end of the film, and he doesn't stop them from robbing everybody. He just kind of tricks them into letting him go with the case for Marcellus and kind of their lives as well. So this character's ability to kind of toy with your mind is it's insane. He's my favorite character in the movie. Just the way he kind of gets all melancholy and philosophical towards the end. It was a really surprising turn for the character when I watched the movie for the first time. It's a film character that I think about a lot. And the performance by Samuel L. Jackson is just perfect. So yeah, I thought about another character, but I think I'll bring him up on the honorable mentions list.
Yeah, so Pulp Fiction, good movie. Me and Cody have argued about this many times. Not many times, maybe once or twice. I've seen this movie twice. I've enjoyed it both times. I like Quentin Tarantino. I don't love Quentin Tarantino. this is probably like my fourth or fifth favorite Tarantino movie, if I'm being completely honest. I like Django more. I like Inglourious Bastards more. Okay, so maybe it's three because I'm having trouble thinking of other ones. But I feel like there's another one in there that I'm not thinking of. But anyway, maybe. But I like this movie a lot. But again, I saw it in high school, and then I saw it again. I watched it with Maggie before Hateful Eight came out because she had not seen any Tarantino movies, so we watched all of them. And I like the character in the movie, but I'm going to be honest, it's one of those that, again, I've seen twice. The last time I saw it was in 2015. I don't remember a whole hell of a lot about it. I plan on doing a rewatch eventually, but you know, I was going to do a full rewatch before Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then I just saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and didn't have a good time and didn't feel like rewatching the rest of the movies after that. So that's just me. But Cody, you can yell at me now.
Pulp Fiction is my favorite Tarantino. It's not really close to me. I remember the first time I watched this movie. I watched it all the way through, and then it was on Netflix, and I clicked play again, and I sat through the whole thing twice. I think this movie is absolutely incredible from start to finish. Jules is one of those characters you just root for, and he's a bad guy, basically. I love the scene where he's like, "Oh, what burger you got there? Can I have a bite?" Just like brings him in as like, and then leads all the way to like, "Oh, great! You shot Marvin in the face," and just basically like screws up. And at the end, where they're like robbing him, and he's just like, "I'm gonna be honest with you, you're not stealing from me, you're not taking from me, you can steal from everybody else, but let's just talk this out because this isn't happening. I'm leaving." And yeah, the overall movie of Pulp Fiction, I just think makes me love 1994 even more, of just how great of a year that was in film. But yeah, go watch this movie again, Tim. It's fantastic.
Maybe I'll do that instead of Nightcrawler again.
It's my second Tarantino, next to Inglourious.
All right, Koho.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction is great. I think Jules is the best part of the movie. Samuel L. Jackson is fantastic in it. He's the most interesting character to me all the way through. The diner scene at the end where he's just talking to Tim Roth is a great scene and a great conversation. And just that character's arc, basically in the reverse of how we see it in the movie and out of order. But if you track where he starts really and where he ends, I think that's like a really great, especially in relation to Vince. I think that's a really great dynamic and a great plotting from Tarantino. So yeah, great choice.
He was nominated for this, right?
Yes, he was.
Him and
John
Travolta. He was supporting, though?
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson was put supporting, and Travolta was put in lead.
Okay. Brian.
To quote a very wise man, Pulp Fiction is great. It's my favorite Tarantino. To me, it's not even close. Oh, wait, that was Cody. Yeah, but he's right. I mean, Pulp Fiction is the best Tarantino, I think, by far. It's largely because of Samuel L. Jackson and his character here. He does such a phenomenal performance. I mean, it's one of those iconic characters, not only in just Samuel Jackson's performance, but every line he says in the movie is so completely quotable. I watched this movie. I've seen this movie, I don't know, probably 100 times over the years. I mean, I don't even know. It's since it came out. I mean, you said you saw it twice. I saw it more than twice in a day before. So,
wow.
When it first came out, because I remember it was still in theaters, and I got a hold of an import laser disc from Japan, of all things. And so, like, it was in theaters, so I'd have people over and we'd watch it, and then some other friends would come over. Oh, we want to watch it too, so we'd watch it again. And I pretty much memorized this movie, and and Samuel L. Jackson is probably the best part of the movie too. So.
Awesome. Okay, any honorable mentions anybody wants to bring up before we rank these things?
If anybody else wants to go ahead, go ahead.
I mean, I would say Billy Costigan in The Departed is somebody I would pick. I could also go with no, that's basically the one I was going to pick.
If there were a couple that I thought about. One that I thought about that's more on the Phantom route would have been V from V for Vendetta. I'm a big fan of V for Vendetta. I think the character of V is so complex and so just great. I think he knocks it out of the park. Another one that I thought about. It's a movie I watched recently for the first time. I think it has one of the best performances I've ever seen in Paul Newman. Fast Eddie Felson in The Hustler. I think that character, just watching that character kind of just break apart and come back together so many different times in that movie, but also be kind of a shit to everyone around him, is heartbreaking, but also so insanely cool to see kind of Newman be able to take all those emotions and kind of roll them into a single character. So that was another one that I had.
You know what's better than The Hustler, Thomas Scully?
What?
The Color of Money. Okay, so
I need to watch Color of Money.
I've never seen The Hustler, so I can't.
I had just a couple more that I kind of
Hustler
had
show.
when I was weeding it down to my final few. One was Leon from The Professional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cody brought that up too.
Mark Renton, which is Ewan McGregor's character in Trainspotting.
Oh, okay.
And William Foster, the name will mean nothing to you, but he's Michael Douglas' character in the movie Falling Down.
Yes. I thought about it too. Truly.
One I thought Brian might also be on the same wavelength with me on is Veronica Sawyer from Heathers was one I considered. I think she's great. I was struggling between Travis Bickle and Mark Zuckerberg from The Social Network.
I had Zuckerberg as well.
I think Zuckerberg's a great performance and character. Rupert Pupkin from The King of Comedy was one I considered, but I was like too much Scorsese. Tyler Durden from Fight Club, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Beetlejuice was one I even considered, but yeah. There's a lot of great anti.
One more that I also almost brought up was Randall McMurphy from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I thought about that too.
Yeah, he's Jack Nicholson's just so fucking good in that movie.
Okay, so I don't know how we're gonna do this, but we're gonna figure it out together, and that's the whole point of a first episode. So I think we're gonna rank these. I think we just maybe vote on each one and see what gets the most votes for number one. Does that work for everybody?
Sure.
Okay, so any votes for Michael Corleone at number one?
Can I get a refresher of what we put on?
Let's actually do this. Let's just rank as we go. I'll type them out. Okay. So we have Michael Corleone. And then next, we have Frank Sheeran. So which do we think wins out of the two of those?
Corleone.
I also vote for Michael Corleone.
Corleone, yeah.
I vote for Frank, but that's three. It seems.
I refuse to vote.
Okay.
Next,
next, we have Sonny Wartzik from Dog Day Afternoon. To me, I think he's the lowest of those three.
I put him on top of those three.
I put Sonny at the top of these three as well.
I will abstain because I haven't seen Dog Day Afternoon.
So basically, we have. I put Michael higher than Dog Day Afternoon, Sonny, but I can see him better than Irishman.
Than Frank.
Oh boy. So you're voting for him to be two.
I expect. I want Michael to go higher.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Cody. So Scully, you get to pick. You want to side with us or with Koho and Brian?
Or
the chat. Tell us. Is it? Does Sonny go above Michael?
Don't
or
leave
below?
it up to the chat because then Nico's gonna decide this, and he hasn't seen any of those probably. So I'll side with Tim and Cody.
Okay.
All right.
Two of Pacino's best performances of all time. I'm not mad.
All right. So next we have Captain Jack Sparrow.
Number one, personally. Number one.
One.
Below all three that we've already mentioned.
Same for me too.
Yeah, I'll also go below all three just because I think I think that Jack Sparrow has more genuine hero moments than I think.
If it was one movie, sure.
It's just one character. We're talking about the character.
All right, so
but he gets ruined in the other films.
No, he doesn't.
Next is Henry Hill.
Bottom of the fucking shit pile. Put him dead fucking last.
I'll put him over the Irishman, but that's about it.
No, I won't even disrespect the Irishman by putting him.
But since Jack Sparrow's at the bottom, yeah, he's gotta go below Jack Sparrow. So.
Yeah, he's gotta go below Jack.
I'm okay with him at 2 below Michael.
I would put him at the bottom too. Just
there we go.
Cody.
Put Henry Hill at the bottom.
Well, you three said that, so that's fine.
Okay.
I can't say.
Magneto. Right now we have Michael, Sonny, Frank, Jack Sparrow, Henry Hill.
Number one.
I put him 3 above Frank Sheeran.
I would put him, honestly, out of this crop, I'd put him as number 1. Personally.
Yeah,
I don't like him better than Jack Sparrow, but seeing as how Jack got pushed so low, I'd put Magneto at number 1.
There you go.
Cody?
I would put him above Frank, but I would not put him over Michael Corleone
or Sonny Wortzik.
Sonny. No.
All right. Next we have Jordan Belfort.
Above Frank for me.
I could put him at 3 below Magneto and Michael.
I would actually go number 2 below Magneto.
That's fair. I'm okay with that, honestly.
I can't put him above Sonny.
2 is fine with me.
Okay.
Are you okay? Are we, Brian and Koho?
I have no strong feelings. This is hard. This is a hard way to rank things.
Yeah. I think next week we'll
need to do a board.
I think do away with the ranking. We just made our list. I think
that's fair too. Okay, so then we have Travis Bickle.
I put him above Frank, below Sonny.
Above Frank, below Sonny. Yeah.
I'd put him below Frank.
I've lost track of who's where.
I'm great with you.
It's in the chat.
Okay.
We have Magneto, Jordan, Michael, Sonny, Frank, Jack, Henry.
Okay.
Yeah, I would put him. Honestly, I would put him just right above Henry.
I'm fine putting him below Jack. Let's go.
Yeah, I would.
I'm fine with that.
Who is this?
Travis Bickle.
Travis Bickle below Jack Sparrow.
Below Jack.
I would put above Jack.
That was 3.
Oh god.
All right, Lewis Bloom.
Top
honestly, after we brought this up, I would bring him above Jordan.
I'd put him at 2 or 3 myself. Maybe 1 actually. But I picked him, so
I would put him under Magneto.
I would.
I will go with that. I'll put him under Magneto, above Jordan Belfort.
That was a great choice. I forgot all about it.
Okay, and then last but not least is Jules.
I put Jules over Magneto.
I think Jules has to go 1.
I go Jules 1.
Okay,
I'm okay with that.
All right, so the official logged it list of movie anti-heroes from tonight. We got Jules, Magneto, then we have Lewis Bloom, Jordan Belfort, Michael Corleone, Sonny, Frank Sheeran, Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Sparrow, sorry, Travis Bickle,
Captain in there somewhere.
Henry Hill. All right.
Thanks, Brian.
So,
yeah. Brian and I are the only ones here giving him his fucking respect. He's a captain, goddammit.
All right, guys. So the next thing that we're going to do is normally this would be the part of the show where we would talk about the movie of the month. We do not have a movie of the month yet. The poll ends tonight. If you haven't voted in the poll, it is pinned on the top of the Kubo and the Two Strings is currently winning. It's on the announcements on the Facebook page. So go and vote in that poll if you haven't already for your choice. But this is normally where we do it. Instead, what we're doing is let me restart that. We're going to be starting with the 2010s in June, and then the 2000s in July, the 90s in August, so on and so forth. So we thought for this week, for this first episode, we would pick a 2020s movie. We picked Soul, the newest film from Pixar. So that is what we are going to discuss here. Right now, I rewatched it today when I got home from work. I really love this movie, guys. I really do. I liked it a lot the first time I watched it. Thought it was super fun, and it actually lived up when I rewatched it a few weeks ago when it came out on Blu-ray. I rewatched it, thought it was really, really great still, and again today. I think it's clever. A lot of really fun moments. A lot of people complain about Maggie doesn't like the whole cat thing. I think it actually works. It took me off guard. I was surprised. And I think all the voice acting is really fun. I like all the Jerry's and Terry, and I like that whole thing. And there's just so much to unpack emotionally in the movie too that I think works really, really well. So to me, this is it's not top 10 Pixar movies, but I think it's still great. And Mr. Twohig thinks that Onward is way better, and I don't understand that, man. But I love Onward, don't get me wrong, but he has Onward as his third favorite Pixar movie and has this at like 14, which doesn't make any sense to me. So Thomas Scully, we'll go to you next because you just had a violent reaction.
Flip the 3 and 14. My God. I think this movie is absolutely incredible. When I watched it for the first time at Christmas, I just kind of sat there for a few minutes and I was like, what did I just watch? And then I had to digest it a little bit, and then I had to watch it again. So I watched it again more recently, and I still think it's amazing because I think what Pete Docter does is he creates this film about human passion, but also the dangers of having one singular passion, one singular purpose you believe you have in life, and kind of destroy not just you, but all those around you. Because we see little bits throughout the film of Joe and his pursuit of his passion kind of alienating all those around him. You know, he's not entirely invested in anything except for being a musician. And one of my favorite scenes is when he actually achieves that, and then he's outside with Dorothea, and he's like, so what's next? And she's like, well, we come back and we do this every night. And then he just kind of sits there in disappointment, and that leads to the phenomenal scene where he's at his piano. He takes out all these little items that 22 had collected throughout the day when she was in Joe's body. And you have that little montage of him like kind of reliving his life in his head. That breaks me every single time. And it's really just a film about being wary of about your passion. Your passion shouldn't just be one thing. Your passion should just be living in general. It should be taking every single day as being, as appreciating life in general. That should be what you do every day, is appreciate, the time that you have left in your life and the life that you've had so far. Appreciate all the positives. And I think that's such a strong message to have, especially coming off of a year in 2020 when we all kind of just took a massive hits mentally. So I think to have that kind of film come out at this moment is insane. I think 5 years down the line, we're going to be looking at this as one of Pixar's greatest products, because I think with the COVID happening and it being pushed back to December, it didn't have that massive theatrical release. So I think if it had had that same exposure to something like, Pete Docter's last film, Inside Out, where it had all this fanfare coming out and all this praise, it would have gotten something a lot like that. So I think once this film ages a little bit, it's going to be seen as one of Pixar's finest works. It's currently my number 3 Pixar of all time because the movie just it just hit me like a Mack truck. It hit me so dead center. Instant top 100, probably even in the top 50. I love everything about this movie. I love the message. I love the direction. I like the stuff with the cat. Honestly, it's a good it's what Pixar does best. It keeps the kids occupied while having the adult message still broadcasted to the adults in the audience. That's, I think, one of the things Pixar does best and does really, really well with that. And then Reznor and Ross's score is perfection. Like they deserve the Oscar handed them on a silver platter. I think this movie is absolutely incredible. And I get very emotional and very passionate every time I talk about it because it just resonated with me so deeply. Absolutely.
Brian, I know when I messaged you today and you were like, yes, I can be on, you said, I got to go watch Soul. Was that the first time you saw it, or was it
No, the first time.
What do you
the
think?
First time I watched Soul was the day it dropped, like that night. Because I this is the middle of December, like December 20th or something like that.
It was Christmas Day.
Was it Christmas Day? I thought they ended up releasing it earlier.
No, it was Christmas Day.
No, but whatever it was, I just come off of working till 4 a.m. in the morning, so apparently Christmas Eve. So I was very tired, but I wanted to watch the movie, so I sat down and watched it. Wasn't terribly impressed by it, but I was like, maybe I was just tired, not in the right mood for it, whatever. But that was the only time I watched it until I rewatched it today. That's why I wanted to rewatch it, kind of refresh myself. Still not a big fan. I know I'm gonna be in the great minority here, but that's just kind of how I felt. I mean, first of all, I want to say that this is one of the most beautiful looking films that Pixar or any animation company has ever made. I mean, I think I mentioned in my review that the textures and the lighting and everything in this movie, every brick of the building, every piece of furniture, every prop looks real. If you took the cartoony characters out of this movie, I would think it was real filmed. It just looked that good. Obviously not in the Great Beyond. I'm talking about the Earth Realm, obviously. But,
yeah.
Or the Great Before, sorry. But the story itself was fine. It didn't do a whole lot for me. I mean, there are a couple more emotional moments, especially like towards the end where, he started realizing, what he really wanted from life, things like that. But I don't know. Pixar movies tend to do this with me. It's a lot of people in this community just really love them and resonate with them. And that's great. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. Just for some reason, they don't always hit as close for me. Like Inside Out. People love Inside Out. I think it's a decent movie, but I don't love it the way a lot of people do. I do enjoy that one more than this one. But I mean, it's a great looking movie as far as animation. The score and the music obviously is great in it. I agree with Nick Twohig. Onward was the better Pixar movie of the year, 2020. Yeah, I said it, and which is strange because I went into Onward expecting not to like it, and I actually enjoyed it, and I really appreciated the kind of the message or theme there. And Soul, I went in thinking I was really going to love it, and I was kind of like, it was fine. I mean, I still gave it 3 stars. I didn't trash the movie or anything, but it just didn't quite hit me the way it hits a lot of other people.
What is your favorite Pixar movie, Brian, if you know off the top of your head?
My favorite Pixar movie is probably either WALL-E or one of the first Toy Stories.
It's fair. I think WALL-E is Nick's number 2, so it sounds like you guys should get drinks. Let's go over to Koho. Koho, what do you think of the movie?
Terrible fucking movie. Worst Pixar's ever.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that it's actually a great movie. I love Saw. No, I think this movie won my soul, pun intended, when it made the joke with Abraham Lincoln and 22. Andrew Jackson's on the 20. Jackson's on the 20. Jackson is a great joke for my president nerd brain. I love this movie a lot. I actually really enjoy basically every part of it. I kind of understand some of the criticisms about it. I just don't personally agree. Everything that these guys said, they basically covered it all. But yes, I think Soul was a phenomenal movie and one of my top 5 from last year. It's a great fucking movie.
Ooh, where's Mike Hanley? Cody, I saw you rewatch this today. What'd you think?
So it went down a little bit on rewatch for me, and not because it's bad. This movie is weird, and the best way I can describe it, it's weird because it doesn't do traditional Pixar things. And what I mean by that is it's the most adult one that we've ever had. I would say it leans more towards adults than kids than it ever has. Parts where my kids were bored watching it. Did not like the movie as much. But then they lean so hard into that, especially to hit every adult in the head. But then they do the cat thing. That's like, oh yeah, remember? This is a kid's movie. And I get it. You're supposed to appeal to both, but it takes the one subsection, the one group out of it and puts them somewhere else and then entertains the kids for a little bit. I think there's cute and good moments. Here's just my take on it. I think a lot of the animation that came over the past years, or how I said before the call started, everybody's animation, like their favorite animation, it starts so high, and then over time it settles down to where it's supposed to be. And I think this movie is going to fall over time. Not in a bad way, not to one of the worst movies ever made. I just think it's going to be top tier, like top 10, but not in the top echelon of what Pixar has done. I think the score is great. I think the characters are fun, but it misses a few groups along the way for me. And I think this could fall over. I think honestly, Onward and this both have the same issues for me in different aspects. I think they lean a little bit too more kid side on that one. This one's a little too adult, and they both are telling important stories, but they're missing the mark on certain elements. But nowhere near a bad film. This isn't Cars, you know?
All right. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Absolutely.
I will also say the Abraham Lincoln joke is it was in my first review. It's by far like the funniest Pixar joke in the last 10 years.
Top shelf humor.
I also like what is it the Knicks where
The Knicks joke. The
yeah,
Knicks joke
the
is
Knicks joke
so good.
is very
And
funny
the
too.
Knicks lose again.
Okay, so that's all our take on Soul. So guys, basically how this is going to work like in the future is with the movie of the month, different panel every week. If we have a repeat person, whatever, like me and Boatman will be repeating a lot, but we're going to get everybody's take in the community, as many people as we can on a certain movie. So go vote in that poll so we can find out what movie you guys want to talk about for the month. So hey, we did it. I think that was pretty successful, guys. We did
Welcome
the
to
show.
buddy.
Maggie's been in bed for an hour. She's gonna murder me, but you know it is what it is. But I want to thank Cody, Kaleb, Thomas, and Brian for being here tonight. Thank you to Boatman who helped come up with a lot of the stuff for the show tonight, even though you're not here. Thank you. And tune in next week. We got a couple here. Some of the stuff we got coming up next week. We have horror sequels. Kirk and Nazario right now are the two people that have kind of accepted my invitation and or shown interest.
Right.
So if you're interested in being in horror sequels, beyond that, I've had a lot of people reach out to me about classic musicals. We do have that one filled up a little bit. We got Spence, Bar, and Brian again. But I've had a lot of people reach out to me about that one. And then the only person who signed up for Talking Animals is Nico. Guys, what are you doing? What are we doing here? So those are the couple things coming up. So if you guys are interested in being on the show and doing what we just did, message me, message Boatman. We'll make sure that we can get you on the show if we think you would be the right fit for it. So all that being said, thank you to everybody for tuning in. And having a successful first episode. We'll see you next week at the same time for horror sequels. Until then, bye-bye.
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, good night.